Welcome to Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Joyce Owosu. Here are the top stories. House of Representatives has urged the federal government to reverse pump price. Federal government to harmonize all tax laws in Nigeria. Senate has responded to Jigawa tanker explosion with new directive. Governor of Ekiti State signs anti-land grabbing law and 2 other laws. On the foreign scene, Asian markets rally with eyes on China housing briefing. We begin with national matters. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to reverse the recent pump price hike and take immediate steps to stabilize petrol and cooking gas prices through targeted interventions such as temporary price relief measures, tax reductions, or subsidies on liquefied petroleum gas for low-income households. The House also called on the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and other relevant agencies to expedite the repair and maintenance of domestic refineries and increase local refining capacity as a stopgap measure to reduce the dependence on imported refined petroleum products. This resolution followed the adoption of an urgent motion sponsored by the House Minority Leader, Honorable Kingsley Shinda, and 110 members of the House. While raising the motion on behalf of the 110 sponsors, the Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Aliyu Madaki, expressed worries that the escalating fuel and gas prices are impacting on the cost of transportation, food, essential goods, and healthcare, further increasing inflation and pushing away many families into deeper financial hardship.
Also worried that unless urgent and pragmatic steps are taken to control the rising cost of petrol and cooking gas, the nation will go into economic crisis, leading into negative outcomes like increased crime rate and mortality.
Contributing to the debate, members expressed concerns on the hardships being faced by the masses, as some suggested that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC policy, should be reviewed.
I want us to pressurize on the government, because not all countries that produces petroleum are in OPEC. We need to review our OPEC policy. We mustn't be in OPEC, because the only thing that will solve this problem of petroleum increase is to use what we have to solve our problem.
Our concern should be the welfare of Nigerians, which I believe is not only in my constituency that the masses or the poor or the people are suffering. I believe most of the constituencies, people are suffering because of this increase.
One, does the regulation allow the price of petroleum product to be different in Lagos, in Abuja, in Jos, in Katsina, in Gombe? If the regulation allow that, why is the law, PIA bill that is being passed is now an act? Is it being respected by the public office holders appointed by this government to ensure decorum in that sector?
Other resolutions reached regarding the motion that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, should implement monetary policies that will mitigate the adverse effects of fuel price hikes on inflation, particularly with regards to essential goods and services. The House, following a voice vote that went in favor of the majority, mandated the Joint Ad Hoc Committee on Petroleum Price Hike, when fully constituted, and legislative compliance to ensure compliance and report back to the House for further legislative action. Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, says the federal government is contemplating 4 tax reform bills aimed at harmonizing all existing tax laws currently scattered in different tax laws and establishment bills. Adedeji said this at an interactive session with a House Committee on Finance ahead of the second reading of the bills in Abuja on Wednesday. He said the tax reform bills recently presented to the National Assembly is not aimed aimed at increasing tax or introducing new taxes into the nation's tax books, or aimed at merging any government agency or lead to any loss of jobs.
This bill is to harmonize all tax laws that we have in the country and put it in one book. And what is the objective? Objective is simple. It means, first of all the multiplicity of these taxes will reduce because you now have them in one book, not in different tax books as we have it today. Today, you call us Federal Inland Revenue, as if, one, we are only collecting money for federal government. Two, as if we are only collecting money only in Nigeria. As at when the act was formulated, that may be true, possibly. But today, one of the major items we collect as a service is VAT. 85% of this VAT goes to states. So when we now say we are federal inland and we collect this on behalf of the state, so what we are doing is not in line with what you call us. Today, we collect online charges for Jumia, for Google, for all these ones, which are not originating in Nigeria. So now you call us inland revenue. It's also not in tandem with what we are doing. So the purpose by which Mr. President has sent this bill is to match what we are doing with what Mr. President wants us to be called.
In his response, Chairman of the committee, Honorable James Falake, says the aim of the meeting is to give members first-hand information on the necessity of the bills to enable them make informed decisions when the bill comes up for second reading.
These bills before us is not intended or has no portion for increase of any tax. Neither is it detrimental to the existing system. It is aimed to harmonize and make this easy. For example, if an investor is coming to invest in Nigeria, you can go through any of these four books when passed, 4 laws when passed, and see the areas of his responsibility rather than going through multiple ones.
Adedeji then gave a breakdown of different tax laws and the benefits they intended to provide for citizens, businesses, and government. The House of Representatives urged the federal government to comply with Section 11, subsection 1B of the 2007 Fiscal Responsibility Act, FRA, by submitting the 2025 budget proposal to the National Assembly without further delay. Citing relevant section of the Act, it expressly says that the federal government must not later than 4 months before the commencement of the next financial year prepare and lay before the National Assembly a medium-term expenditure framework for the next 3 financial years. This followed the adoption of an urgent motion raised by Honorable Clement Jimbo, a member representing Abak Atem Federal Constituency, Akwa Ibom State, at plenary on Wednesday. Honorable Jimbo expressed worries that the time the National Assembly requires to exercise its functions as enshrined in Section 88, subsection B, is technically being taken away by the non-compliance of Section 11, subsection 1B of FRA 2007 by the Executive.
The House notes that the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 provides for the prudent management of the nation's resources, ensures long-term microeconomic stability of the national economy, secures greater accountability and transparency in fiscal operations within a medium-term fiscal policy framework, and the establishment of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission to ensure the promotion and enforcement of the nation's economic objectives and for related matters.
The House Speaker, Abbas Tajuddin, after calling for a voice vote, which went in favor of the majority of the members, mandated committees on national planning and economic development, appropriation and finance to ensure compliance within 2 weeks for further legislative action. Ondo State Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa has declared that the era of part payment and percentage-based salary payments is over assuring that such practices have become a thing of the past in the state. The governor stated this while addressing members of the National Union of Local Government Employees, NALGE, at the NALGE Day ceremony held in Akure. At the event, the union unanimously endorsed Governor Ayedatiwa for the November 16 gubernatorial election, while also honoring the governor with an award as the grand patron.
The whole place is filled up, mammoth crowd, responding in love because of what this administration stands for, what we have been doing as a government for the people of Ondo State, in every sector of the economy, in education, in security, in agriculture, in health, you can name it. We have intervened in a greater way, and the people are happy.
Thanking the union for the endorsement and award, the governor made a firm commitment to the welfare of workers in the state, reassuring on his readiness to pay the 73,000 naira new minimum wage recently approved by him. The Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, AMMC, has given the Abuja Environmental Protection Board, AEPP, a 48-hour ultimatum to clean up Abuja. The coordinator of the council, Felix Obua, gave the ultimatum after an emergency meeting recently with the management of the board and contractors handling refuse evacuation in Abuja. The meeting was held after the coordinator inspected the state of refuse evacuation in Asokoro district. Obua expressed disappointment with the slow pace of refuse evacuation in the district, noting that the nation's capital should be a model city for cleanliness across Nigeria. We'll take a pause here. Housing TV News at the top of the hour. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
When the city is getting too loud, you need a home. Home is love, peace, and tranquility. Home is Housing TV Africa. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Welcome back. Glad to know you're still there. Moving on to the Red Chamber, the Nigerian Senate says rumors of impeachment of the President of the Senate are coming from paid agents bent on causing confusion in the polity, reacting to an online publication which claimed that there were underground moves to remove him from office. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, said there was no end to the manipulation of social media by people with ulterior motives.
So there is no limit to social media. And we are here sitting down and doing our work very peacefully, oblivious of the mischief that is going on behind us. It's part of what we pass through on a daily basis. It's either they use AI to inject something to turn it around in order to drive traffic. I understand that they are being paid by YouTube if they have a lot of traffic. So whoever brought out this fake news must be getting a lot of payment because of the traffic going on. But I hope the public is aware that this is total fake news and that the chamber is very stable and the issue of impeachment does not come in. So, Kaka, please investigate and report back to us as soon as practicable.
As the Senate President pleases, I will do the needful and report back, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
The publication had alleged that operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, have taken over the National Assembly complex to stop the rumored impeachment moves. The Upper Legislative Chamber on Wednesday reached a resolution after a debate on a motion sponsored by the senator representing Jigawa North, Babangida Hussaini, on the shocking incident that claimed the lives of 100 people who were burned to death after scooping fuel from a falling truck near Dutse, the Jigawa state capital.
The Senate is to note that on the night of 15th October, yesterday, a tanker fully loaded with petroleum motor spirit, PMS, called Petrol, exploded along Hadeja Expressway in Majia town, located in Toro local government of Jigawa State, which is about 117 kilometers northeast of Dutse, the state capital. Also notes that this catastrophic inferno occurred around 10 p.m. when the residents of the area trooped out en masse to the accident scene to scoop fuel from the ill-fated tanker. And while this was on, the tanker exploded, resulting in massive fire which was quite difficult to control by the available facilities in the area. Further notes that the explosion resulted in the death of about 100 people, whose bodies were burnt beyond recognition, leaving about 300 people with varying degrees of burns and are currently receiving treatments in Birnun Kudu Federal Medical Center, General Hospital Rengim, General Hospital Hadija, and Jawun General Hospital.
In a remark, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, highlighted the dangers of scooping fuel when such accidents occur.
Pray that God will grant solace to the families of those who lost their loved ones, and then, of course, Ajana Fidar to those who have departed. And I want to also pray that those in hospitals will also survive. However, I think we should also call on the state government to take proactive steps to save more lives.
Akpabio also urged the National Orientation Agency to carry out adequate sensitization on the dangers of scooping fuel from falling trucks. He equally called on the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to surviving victims of the explosion. Now to the build sector. Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Tijani Gwazo, has stated that the integrated urban development agenda under the housing and urban development sector was intended to provide a positive transformation of the urban landscape at all levels, thereby securing the future for Nigerians. Gwazo stated this in his closing address at the 2024 National Conference of Directors and Heads of Town Planning Organizations in Nigeria, held in Akure, Ondo State. The address of the minister was read on his behalf by Director Urban and Regional Development of the Ministry, Town Planner Dr. Olakunde Akinola David. Gwazo, who described the conference with the theme Effective Physical Planning as a panacea for integrated and sustainable urban development in Nigeria, stated that the valuable opportunity to catalog the honest efforts of current administration towards repositioning Nigeria's housing and urban development sector is the commendable and dutiful efforts of President Bola Tinubu for the massive strides in pointedly addressing issues of housing and sustainable development. The Ekiti State Governor, Biodun Oyebanji, on Wednesday signed 3 bills, including Ekiti State Property Protection Anti-Land Grabbing Second Amendment Law 2024, passed by the State House of Assembly into law, stressing the need to regulate and sanitize land acquisition processes in the state. The law, when fully operational, will prohibit forceful entry, illegal occupation of landed properties, fraudulent and violent conduct pertaining to landed properties in the state. Other bills that were signed into law includes High Court Law, First Amendment 2014, and Ekiti State Legislative House Powers and Privileges Law 2024. The Speaker of the House, Adeoye Aribasoye, accompanied by the Leader of the House, Togo Ige, and the clerk, identified simply as Mrs. Agbede, presented the documents to the Governor for his assent at a brief ceremony held at the Executive Council Chamber, Governor's Office at Dorikiti. Speaking shortly after assenting to the laws, Mr. Oyebanji affirmed that the property protection law will definitely bring an end to the menace of forceful and illegal occupation of landed properties by land miscreants called land grabbers. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has announced the extension of the amnesty period for owners and developers of building or structures without proper approvals until December 31, 2024. This announcement was made during an event in Lagos with the theme Rethinking Lagos, a New Vision for a Regional and Integrated Mega City. A deadline was previously set for October ending, with the building owners expected to face penalties upon expiration. Earlier, Sanwo-Olu and the former governor of the state, Babatunde Fashola, stressed the need to ensure an affordable and seamless building approval process in Lagos. Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi on Wednesday flagged off the construction of a 20-kilometer Obajana-Uraku rural road linking parts of Lokoja and Adavi local government areas. According to the reports, the project is part of the interventions by the Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Project, RAMP, supported by the World Bank. The 20-kilometer road was the first phase of over 65-kilometer network of rural roads in the state, aimed at creating access to farms and markets to ensure food security in the state. Governor Ododo, while flagging off the construction, emphasized the pivotal role of rural roads in the development agenda of his administration. Ododo stated that rural roads would not only enhance transportation but would serve as catalysts for rural economic growth and food security in the state. The Ministry of Works has engaged the services of 6 senior advocates of Nigeria to defend lawsuits initiated by aggrieved persons concerning the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. One of the legal suits is seeking information regarding the 15 trillion naira budget allocated for the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. The SANs representing Umahi include Abiodun Owonikoko, Mahmoud Mogaji, Professor J. Olatoke, Yakubu Ruba, Roy Onweze, and Emmanuel Esene. Newsmen gathered that their involvement was confirmed in a memorandum of conditional appearance filed before the Federal High Court in Lagos. In August 2024, David Umahi revealed that there were over 6 court cases against the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. As part of moves towards the decongestion of inmates in the correctional service facilities across the country, the federal government has been advised to encourage speedy trials and community service in order to address the growing population of inmates. The superintendent in charge of Maximum Custodial Center, Ibara Abeokuta, Opadeji Ayola, made this known when he received the leadership of a group that facilitated the release of 3 years of inmates alongside the payment of NACO fees of some inmates at the correctional service.
Government can even, please, they should try to encourage on non-custodial. That is, under non-custodial, that is where we have community services and some other things. So that's it. Speedy trial is part of it. They can even do such. That's as part of judiciary. Government are trying. That is why the policy, the name of prisons were changed to correctional, whereby we have non-custodial and we have custodial. This non-custodial is aiming at decongest the facility, so to reduce the overpopulated facilities, and it's been done, and it's ineffective.
Ayola called on well-meaning Nigerians to look inwardly towards the correctional service facility in a bid to help some of the inmates attain their full potentials. He said the gesture is laudable as it will help in the reformation of the inmates upon their exit from the correctional facility. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has announced a new minimum wage of 85,000 naira for workers in the state, with plans to increase it to 100,000 naira by January 2025. He made this disclosure during an interview on Wednesday, October 16, 2024. Sanwo-Olu discussed various issues impacting residents, including transportation, road infrastructure, and efforts to alleviate the economic challenges faced by citizens amid widespread hardship in Nigeria. Addressing the wage increase, the governor clarified that Lagos' 85,000 naira minimum wage is based on the state's financial capability and not meant to compete with other states. Sanwo-Olu highlighted that the state had already raised workers' salaries earlier in the year and expressed its intention to further improve their earnings. Now, moving on to the foreign scene, Asian markets rose Thursday as Chinese investors waded back ahead of a briefing in Beijing by the country's housing minister that fanned hopes for more measures to support the ailing property sector. The gains followed a positive day on Wall Street, where traders took heart from healthy earnings from Morgan Stanley and United Airlines that helped claw back some of Tuesday's losses, sparked by worries over this year's tech rally. Oil prices also inched back up but remained under pressure owing to questions about the demand outlook. Hong Kong and Shanghai led gains across the region as Chinese Housing Minister Ni Hong prepared for a news conference officials said will outline plans to support the real estate market and boost troubled developers. The world's number 2 economy has struggled to recover since lifting strict COVID controls at the end of 2022, battered by a debt crisis in the property sector and tepid consumer demand. And that's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. House of Representatives has urged the federal government to reverse pump price. Federal government to harmonize all tax laws in Nigeria. Senate has responded to Jigawa tanker explosion with new directive. Governor of Ekiti State signs anti-land grabbing law and 2 other laws. On the foreign scene, Asian markets rally with eyes on China housing briefing. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. I'm Joyce Nwosu. Bye for now.
This is Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa.
Housing TV Africa.